a motivational thing for me, to try to be honest with the things that I deal with, the ups and the downs, and to show my losses, to show my injuries, to be vocal about the doubts that I have, that I still have, that I still deal with. You know, it's easy to look at these people in the spotlight and be like, they don't deal with fear, they don't deal with pain, they don't deal with doubts, they don't deal with feeling like they're inadequate. I think it was a clip or something you were talking about the imposter syndrome. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, like it doesn't matter how amazing you seemingly are on the outside to all of these people. Like, we're all just human beings. We are all just individuals that have made choices and have steered our lives in certain directions. But it's almost like when you make it to a point, it's like, oh, they don't deal with this anymore. Yeah. I deal with the exact same fears, doubts, and all of these things that I dealt with day one. To this day, I still deal with them. Those same questions, they've never gone away. Ever gone away. You know, you learn how to handle them better, and you get strengthened by them, but they don't necessarily disappear. And a lot of times they can get worse over the years, because now you're in a position where you're expected to be a certain way. People have expectations of you. You know, you're supposed to be this superhuman being, or you're supposed to be extremely confident, or you're supposed to only put on A+ performances, and you're not allowed to fail. You're not allowed to be human anymore. And when we can humanize these things, and it lets people realize that they can do it too. You know, we're not necessarily made up of anything different than anybody else. You know, we've just gone through a process of learning and developing and diving off of cliffs that we didn't know where they were going. And that's what we all have to do. You know, like the people in these spotlights, they're just human beings. Yeah. And the more that you meet them and read about their stories, and you know, that's why I love reading autobiographies. Like, geez, like the things these people have had to overcome, they weren't handed anything. If more than anything, it was more devastating and detrimental, and they've had to overcome more than you could possibly imagine, and it wasn't just given to them. They had to work and strive and struggle and fail over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, until they got to where they got to, and still do. They still fail constantly. We all fail constantly. Yeah. Well, failure's a gift. Yeah. Once you make that switch, once you understand it, and like you can view these losses or these things that happen or these struggles as, you know, I always view them as challenges. Be like, are you going to quit? Are you going to give up? I always view, like, when I'm tired in the ring or on a workout, I'm like, you want to quit? I'm like, fuck you, man. You know, I view that voice in your head. You know, that devil that's looming over your shoulders, like, you're gonna quit, you're a failure. I'm like, you know what, fuck you. I'm not quitting. I'm never gonna quit. I'm never gonna stop, and there's nothing you can do. So keep talking, but I'm going forward. Is there a time where you ever get past that and you understand that you're never gonna quit, and instead just concentrate on the task at hand? Or do you think that voice that you're duking it out with, that you take that motherfucker to the grave? You definitely take it to the grave. I think we feel like we get farther away from it, and we get stronger, and we get more confident, but it never gets far. You never get farther away from it. You know, like I compare it to my alcoholism. It's like I could go 10 years without ever drinking again, but all it takes is one bad day. Yeah. We are all one bad day of being in the worst situations ever. And that's why it's so important to, you know, you look at people on the streets and things like that, but like, you know how easy that can happen? Yeah. Like, how many bad days or bad situations would it take to turn a successful person into that? Not a lot. We're all just balancing on this very delicate thing that, you know, it seems like we're all strong and safe and all this, but like, well, when the power goes out and, you know, the world's going to go to hell like that. Yes. We just pretend like it's not, because that's how we get through the day. So, but yeah, like to your point is, I don't think we're ever any farther away from those things that held us back before, we get stronger and we learn how to process them, and we understand it more, and we understand the series of things that we need that will take us down that road or get us farther away from it. But it's just right there, you know. And no matter how much we learn and develop, I think sometimes that makes it even more scarier. It's like the higher you get, the farther you have to fall. And it's the more you can be aware of that you're never going to get farther away from it. You always need to be diligent, that you always need to do things that are going to steer you in a more positive way. I think that is like the goal, to not falling back on that. I think the worst thing that we can do is have this belief that we're past it. Like, that's never going to happen again. I'm not an alcoholic anymore. I'm not a drug addict anymore. I'm not depressed anymore. That's what's helped me is I did think one day I would be so far away from it that it would never be a thought anymore. But by knowing that it's always right there, that keeps me sharp.
Yeah.
You know, it's like that you need that thing to keep you at your best, or else we start to get lazy. It's that same concept of having people that push you in the gym or in life or et cetera. If you don't have somebody pushing you, you can only ever push yourself so hard. You might think you're pushing yourself really hard, but you don't really have a basis for where that is. So like for myself, I always run my sprints on a treadmill, because a treadmill doesn't lie. This is how fast you're going, and this is how long you're doing it. Now, you can go out on the street and say, I was going as fast as humanly possible. But you're always going to hold yourself back a little bit. You know, that's just the way we are as human beings. You know, that safety net that we have ingrained in us to not go over that edge. But if you're not pushing that edge, you're not developing, and you're always holding yourself back a little bit. And no matter how hard you think you're going or how honest you think you're being, unless you have somebody, that's why it's so important to have people in your lives that keep you in that sharpened state, you know, that question you, that push you. And, you know, like for me, Gina's always been that way for me. That person is like, she's not going to look at not let me bullshit, you know, just keep me honest, you know, sometimes to an extreme extent, like, give me a little bit of a break here. But, you know, it's like that person that pushes you, and it's uncomfortable to be pushed, and you don't want to be pushed. I want to relax, and I want to like sit on the beach and drink beers and do all these things. But is that going to help me get to a better place in my life, a better place in my mind and my heart? No, that's going to allow me to just like be a lazy piece of shit and just drift off and die and be no benefit to myself or anyone else for that matter. So as uncomfortable as it is to be pushed, and as uncomfortable as it is to be pressured and to want to excel, we all need those things.
You're either improving or you're declining.
Yeah, and I think that's such an important thing to keep in mind. Like, it's only one or the other.
Yeah.
There is no in the middle. It's like the concept of balance. You never find balance, because once you find it, you lose it. You're always jumping on both sides of this line, too much or too little. You're either going too fast or too slow. Yeah. And we're trying to find that perfect balance of everything, and you never can find it. But knowing that you never can find it forces you to be diligent about all these things and to constantly be trying to find it. And the more you try to find that, the more you're going to develop and learn ways that aren't the right way, and then finding what does work.
Is there any hunts that you're like really interested in doing that you haven't done yet?
I really want to do a spot and stalk mountain lion hunt.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, yeah.
You want to spot and stalk the thing that spots and stalks?
Yes.
Where are you going to do that?
I don't know. So I think in the Dakotas and in Oregon, there's a decent chance for it.
There's a decent chance because of the population density?
Population density, and then I think Oregon and I want to say South Dakota don't allow dog hunts.
Oh.
So
Oregon's weird. That's dense.
Oregon's a weird place.
That's dense foliage.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that would be hard.
I think it'd be hard. You know what, though? I want that kind of challenge. Like, those are the things that really get me, like, way deep inside.
Yeah, we were talking about this last night. You're going to give yourself, what, like 3 weeks?
Like, I'm thinking in my head, I need a couple weeks to make it happen.
Wow.
And I'm a new hunter.
Mm-hmm.
but I'm doing as much research as possible, talking to all the right people, and when it happens, it happens.
So,
but I really want to make it happen.
What's the process for that? You get a tag, you go into the backcountry, and are you going to bivouac? Are you going to just sleep in the woods? Like
that would be what I kind of want to do. Mm-hmm. Is
solo,
solo, or maybe one other guy. I think more than that, you're going to have so much presence in those woods that you're never going to see a cat.
Yeah. So how the fuck do you find a cat when you're by yourself?
I think you got to cut a track or find a kill.
So your plan is to get yourself in an area where they're at.
Mm-hmm. A lot of stars got to line up.
Yeah.
But that's part of the cool part about hunting. It's not just killing, right?
Right. Well, that's probably one of the most difficult hunts you can go on.
Damn right. And for me, like growing up in Southern California, having seen a mountain lion when I was younger, I've just had a real deep feeling about mountain lions. I think they're incredible animals. And I think it would be a really, really special thing to pit my training and brain with a bow against a cat
and eat it.
Yes.
That's going to be weird.
Eat it.
Sitting down there eating a cat that you killed with a bow and arrow.
It's going to be really cool.
Yeah.
If I'm able to make it happen at some point.
But you're going to get a lot of meals out of that cat.
I think they're huge.
That's huge.
Dude, a little cat, like the ones down here, they're like 110, 120 pounds. The ones up in BC are like 200.
Do they really get that big?
Yeah.
200.
Yeah. That's a big cat.
Yeah, it's a weird animal that just sort of coexists with us. You seen that photo that I have out there of the one by the
How cool is that
Hollywood
thing?
Sign? That's a real photo.
Yeah,
It looks fake.
It's so cool.
It looks fake, but that's from a camera trap. That is a giant cat that lives in Griffiths Park, right by the Hollywood Sign.
Dude, cats are wild.
That is a crazy place for it to live, though, because it's literally on top of people.
Oh yeah.
And good luck finding a deer up there for that reason. That motherfucker's jacking them all.
Eating everything.
And dogs.
And cats.
And probably kids. Some kid fucks up and goes off in the
Let your
woods.
kid off the leash.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a weird animal to coexist with people in these sort of semi-urban settings like Griffith Park.
But it's only weird because of the setting and because we're not used to it. Like we've coexisted with these things for so long. And now it's weird because we've separated the last few generations so deeply.
How far away are you from planning this out?
Probably a couple of years, if I'm guessing correctly.
How does that work? Because it's hard to get a tag, or
no? Because I want to make sure that my skills and my ability are up to snuff where I'm comfortable doing that and pulling it off.
So it's right now just a thought, like a plan.
Absolutely.
Put it on the books for 2023 or something like that.
Yeah. Something like that.
I was watching some video footage that I thought was legit, and it's not. And it's I sent it to Shane Gillis, and then I realized after I sent it to him, hey man, I think this is a fucking video game. I think you got me. But let me show you because it's so crazy. Because it seems so. It's YouTube, but it seems so realistic. I'm stunned by how good video games are now. Check this out, Jamie. I just sent it to you.
Remember the Ghost of Kyiv we were reading about when the Ukraine and Russia war started?
It was a fucking video game, video game footage.
I bought in. I was like, this guy's awesome.
Bro, this looks so good. I thought this was like some high-resolution government footage where they were just showing you what they can do now. Look at this.
Oh, yeah, that does.
Go full screen. Because this looks so dope. Look at this.
Oh, shit.
By the way, now looking at it on a big screen
like
instead of my phone,
it
looks like a video game.
Yeah, that was going to
on my phone though, with my 56-year-old eyes. it looked. Now look at this. Look at the fucking ripples. Look at this.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's crazy. It sounds crazy.
This is incredible. That this is a video game.
Yeah, yeah.
It does look like a video game on the big screen.
This makes me want to play video games.
Damn, it looks good. Yeah, I want to play this game.
Yeah. Jesus.
How good are fucking video games
unbelievable.
now?
It's only going to get better, dude.
That's a real problem, man.
You're going to live in that in 5 years.
100%.
Yeah.
And you're going to love it.
Yeah.
And you're going to be happy. But there was some stuff. Back it up a little bit, Jamie, because they go back and forth from black and white. They show the rockets headed towards it. A little further. Yeah, right there. Back it right there. Watch. Check this out. Look at this. When they show like the whatever sensors that they're using in this video game to track missiles. Check this out.
Oh, this is crazy, dude.
And then they have a camera on the missile.
Wow. No, this seems crazy realistic.
Crazy real. This looks like you're looking at it through... Yeah, look at this shit.
Wow.
So they're going through different filters, different ways of looking at it, and then later on they show the actual missiles headed towards it.
Wild.
Look at that.
Oh, yeah.
See if you get where the actual missiles are.
That's crazy.
That's it. Back up right there, where it's black and white. This is crazy. So this is wild shit, man.
Yeah.
The fact that this has been being done through... This isn't the transition that I saw earlier. I don't know when it is. It's a long-ass video.
Yeah.
But it's pretty incredible.
No,
but it looks so realistic.
Yeah,
man.
we're going to be the Matrix, where you're just plugged into a thing and you're just living.
100%.
I just hope my life is good in that Matrix. That's all.
Well, it's going to be better than the Matrix because it's not going to be like a regular life. You're going to be on a dragon. You're going to be in you're going to be living in Neverland. You're going to be living in some crazy Narnia world.
Yeah.
You're going to be able to do anything you want. What is the game? Arma 3.
I don't
Arma
even...
3.
Yeah, I mean, this is brand new. April 21st.
Yeah, I don't even know what that game is. I never heard of
Literally,
that game.
this video came out yesterday.
It's fucking nuts, man.
Yeah.
It just stumbled across my feed, and I thought it was legit
Yeah.
for like 38 seconds.
So that game is, I mean, it's crazy what video games are doing. There's now, like I watch the NFL a lot. When a guy scores a touchdown, they use like a 6K camera, and you look at that and you're like, oh, that looks like a video game. 6K, the more crisp reality looks like the video game now.
I was watching a video yesterday on YouTube that was a review of the Google Pixel 8 Pro, and apparently it has AI in it that can give a smile for your kid's face.
Oh, that's creepy.
It's correct, because he said, the guy was reviewing, he said, my one kid is never paying attention, never looked. Well, then get a picture of him not paying attention.
Yeah, that's
you fucking weirdo. Like, you're changing your kid's personality to be like this
That's-
smiley guy who stares at the camera.
Yeah, it's a scary thought.
You can manipulate people's faces.
Yeah.
So you could swap their face
I
around.
saw
Lex
tweeted yesterday this picture.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
In the
shit.
response, someone made that look. He's smiling, and it
Wow.
looks pretty fucking real.
Well, have you seen the new Microsoft software where they can take a photograph,
Yeah.
just a photograph, and then with your voice have you say all kinds of shit in video, and it looks seamless.
Wow.
I'll send you that, Jamie. It looks fucking seamless. So you see it, you're like, this is incredible. How is this that good? It's so fucking good now.
It's going to be really fun.
Here it is. I'll send it to you, Jamie.
I think, yeah, we're
You
going
got it?
Decided to
Yeah, this is it.
focus all my attention, all my time on listening. So instead of doing something else, I just listened, and listened. Because I'm a true believer that if you're really bad at something like listening, for example, it only shows you that, hey, you have to practice listening as much
The
as you
sound
can.
is not synced correctly in this video. I think
It's going to get better and better.
yeah, but
though.
this is not how it looked on my phone. On my phone, it looked different. There's like a little disconnect here.
keep blaming your phone for.
What's that?
You're watching
keep blaming
it
your
through my
phone for
computer
these wrong
being
things.
Yeah,
translated
no.
to the
It's going from the computer.
Yeah, no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But also, even if it's not perfect, this is the worst it will ever be.
Right.
That's what I always think about.
Right.
Oh, it's not. You can tell. This is the worst it will ever be, and it will get exponentially better and better, faster and faster.
And I think they only need 30 seconds of you talking.
That's crazy.
Yeah. The Mona Lisa's rapping. Look at this. Give me some of that.
Don't call me scuzzy, making money. That's my job, celeb photography. What hell no.
That's crazy.
Bro, that's Mona Lisa
That's
rapping.
crazy. And
it looks pretty good.
Yeah.
And you would have not have imagined this 5 years ago.
5 years ago.
5 years ago, you'd be like, what is that? That must cost $1 billion to do.
I think 3 years from now, you're not going to be able to tell at all.
No, especially guys like you or I who have had so many hours of us talking.
Yeah.
There's so many hours of you talking.
But the good thing now then is probably we can just say whatever we want to and then be like, that was fake. That's crazy hateful stuff, but that was fake.
I wonder if there'll be a way to tell. I think eventually there won't be. I think there's probably going to be a way to tell for a little bit, but then eventually there won't be.
Yeah, and then we just don't take it that seriously, hopefully.
Because there's a lot of other things you could edit on a phone now. Like with the Samsung phones, you could delete things from the background. It has AI.
Crazy.
So like if someone's in the background, like, fuck that dude. Just put a circle around him. The guy goes away. Now he's not in your picture anymore. And then they could literally move the position that you're in. So if you're in the center of the thing, you're like, I want to be behind that park bench. They just put you behind the park bench.
Dude, for my special, luckily we got Prize Picks to help me pay for the cost, and then we did like an ad read in the middle. The background, we filmed it on a green screen, and my guy Kev created that background in like 30 seconds, and you can't tell the difference. It looks like maybe slightly different, but so many people are like, did he stop the middle of his taping to do an ad read? It looks so good.
They just added this stuff into, which is probably before your guy got to it, but this has just been added to video editing software. Some of the AI stuff we've been talking about, it's now built into the actual editing software. It's like what just happened on screen was they changed the small amount of diamonds into a large amount of diamonds, and it now like works in the video that they're using.
Wow. I mean,
like just changing things, deleting things right out of there. That would take hours before.
Wow.
It might take a few people to do it.
And now it's instantaneous.
It took 10 seconds.
Didn't even know it was supposed to be there.
There's videos now. I'm going to send you this, Jamie, because this video is entirely AI. The whole thing, this is a sci-fi trailer for a movie. It's entirely AI, and you would never believe it. And again, what you just said is only going to get better. This is the worst it's ever been, worst it's ever going to be.
Yeah.
It's gonna get better real quick. But this whole trailer that we're going to watch is entirely generated by AI. There's no actors. There's no scenes. This is all done on a computer.
This is not a sci-fi movie.
What the fuck?
Dude, close-ups.
Dude, the people look completely
pores.
real.
Look at the ocean, the Amalfi Coast.
That's beautiful.
It's not a drone shot from the Amalfi Coast.
Wow.
Look at the people moving.
Yeah.
Everything looks real.
This is not a snippet from a National Geographic documentary.
I mean, what the fuck?
That
dude?
looks
Look at that
crazy.
dog. Look at the dog, man. That's crazy.
Awesome.
Do you remember how bad the dogs looked in I Am Legend?
Yeah.
The tigers, the lions, rather. Do you remember that scene?
Yeah, I do.
Done an amazing job in this book of trying to boil it down for dummies like me, but it's hard. It is a complicated and insanely nuanced subject.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it like this many worlds theory, for one example, the just the possibility that there's like explain that.
Sure.
Explain for people that don't understand what quantum mechanics even means. Give them just like a little bit of that, and then explain many worlds theory.
Yeah, good. This is what I'm here to do. So,
thank you.
You know, an electron. Take an electron. Quantum mechanics should apply to the entire universe, but it becomes unmistakable when you look at little tiny things, right? So we always are talking about electrons or atoms and so forth. An electron has a position, and well, sorry, let me not even say that. Even that was wrong. It's just so hard to correctly talk about quantum mechanics, right? If you were Isaac Newton, before there was quantum mechanics, there was classical mechanics. And basically, quantum mechanics and classical mechanics are the only two big frameworks that have ever existed in physics. You know, classical mechanics was so good that everyone thought that was just right, and it was all a matter of filling the details until quantum mechanics came along and changed things. In classical mechanics, an electron is a point. It has a position, a location in space, and it has a velocity. It's moving somewhere. And from that, you can predict what's going to happen. Okay? Quantum mechanics says, no. The electron has a wave function. So there's a wave. You know, sometimes you hear this debate about are things like electrons and photons particles or waves. The answer is that they are waves. And the wave function has this weird property that when you're not looking at it, It's a wave. It's all spread out or it's localized somewhere, but it obeys an equation, the Schrodinger equation. So far, so good, just like regular physics. There's a thing, the wave function, it obeys an equation, the Schrodinger equation. You can predict what's going to happen next. But the weird thing about quantum mechanics is that there's a whole separate set of rules for what happens when you look at the thing, when you observe it, when you measure it.
That's where things get squirrely with people describing it, right?
Yes.
And that's where they want to go woo-woo on you.
It's an opening to be woo-woo, right? When you say, like, what do you mean observe something? Like, does it have to be a conscious being? Can it be a video camera? That's just weird, right?
Is it the act of measuring that changes things?
Well, this is the puzzle, okay? This is what is called the measurement problem of quantum mechanics, that the rules we teach our students at Caltech or anywhere else when we teach them quantum mechanics in their sophomore year of college, the rules say when a system is observed, when it is measured, its state, its wave function changes dramatically, suddenly, and unpredictably.
Now, let me ask you this. How do we know this based on if you're measuring it and it changes? How do we know? Because we didn't measure it before. Like, what observations are we making that we understand the state of it before it's measured without measuring it?
Good. There's a couple of ways. So let me make things even simpler. Forget about where the electron is located and think about the electron is spinning. Right? Okay. The electron is spinning just like the Earth spins. It's really exactly like that. It's like a little spinning top, except when you measure the spin, you can sort of send the electron through a magnetic field and it will get deflected either up or down, depending on whether it's spin up or spin down. You only ever get one of two answers. It's either going up or going down. It's nowhere in between. This is an empirical measured fact, okay? So that's a part of quantum mechanics. That's the quantum fact, that there's a discrete set of possible answers to this question. Is it spinning clockwise or counterclockwise? Yes or no. It's just those two possibilities, nowhere in between. So if you have a magnetic field that is oriented vertically, send your electron through it, it gets deflected up, you say, oh, it's spin up. So now I've measured its spin. Now I know what its state is. If I send it through another magnetic field or oriented vertically, it will always be deflected up every single time. We know what it is. We're going to measure it. Measuring it in this case doesn't change it. It's in exactly that state. We know it, okay? Now let's send it through a magnetic field that is oriented horizontally. So it's going to be deflected either right or left. We know exactly what state it's in. It's spinning this way. But when you send it through that magnetic field that's oriented horizontally, it gets deflected left or right 50-50, unpredictably. There's no way we can predict it. And then once it is, so okay, now it's been spinning up, you measured its spin left, let's say, send it through another magnet that is going vertically. And now it's 50-50 again. It could be spin up or spin down. So somehow, even though we knew exactly what state it was in, we couldn't predict what would happen next. That is part of quantum mechanics.
So the act of sending it through these things where it makes it vertical or horizontal, what is happening to it when it's going through these things?
So in quantum mechanics, what we say is that it's not that we don't know whether the electron is spinning clockwise or counterclockwise. It can be in a superposition of both. That's just the spin version of the position of the electron can be spread out in a wave, right? It's truly not just that we are lacking some knowledge. It's that the knowledge really isn't there. And again, this is how we teach quantum mechanics in textbooks. And then I'm going to correct it because Many Worlds is much better. But this is the standard textbook version. There's a wave function. The wave function for a spin is it's either up or down or some combination. And then there's a rule that says when you measure the spin, you only get up or down. You don't see the wave function. Just like the cloud that you have for the electron's position, when you look at it, you see it at a location. So another way to make the same argument is take a little piece of, I have a nice little image of this when I give talks, a little piece of uranium. So it's a radioactive little chunk of metal, and you put it in a bubble chamber. So it is emitting radioactive particles, and you detect the particles. You can see a little streak of motion when the particle leaves the uranium, okay? Well, like I said, when you're not looking at it, this electron is supposed to obey an equation, the Schrodinger equation. And you can ask what the prediction is when a radioactive nucleus decays and gives off an electron. What is its wave function going to do? What is the wave function of the electron going to be? And the answer is it goes off in a spherical wave. It goes off in all directions at once.
Evenly.
Yeah. all directions evenly, but you never see that.
Is
You
that roughly
always
based
see a
on the
line.
shape of the piece of uranium? Does it vary?
No, because the electron gets from one individual nucleus of an atom, right? So what the uranium is doing doesn't matter. It's just that one atom matters. And the easiest thing for the electron to do is just to go out in a sphere. It doesn't have to. It can go out in higher energy states. But the point is, it's not going out in a straight line. But when you look at it, you see a straight line, right? That's the fundamental mystery of quantum mechanics, that how we describe the thing when we're not looking at it is different than what we see when we look at it.
So when you're in pursuit of an understanding, a deeper understanding of quantum mechanics, when you're thinking about people from the 1900s that are just sort of basically getting the first steps going to understand this stuff, when you're talking about this lack of funding and the lack of encouragement for people to pursue quantum mechanics, you strongly feel like there are answers to these questions.
Yeah, that's right.
That we just need better tools and a better understanding, better equations, more time.
Yeah, me and Einstein think this, right? So Einstein is one of the secret heroes of the book because he has this reputation as someone who just couldn't quite accept quantum mechanics. The title, Something Deeply Hidden, is a quote from Einstein when he was talking about when he was a kid and he had a compass, right? And he was given his first magnetic compass and he could rotate it this way and that way and it always pointed north. And you and I would go, that's cool. But he was Einstein. He's like, wow, this is amazing. Why? How does it know where north is, right? And he said there must be something deeply hidden that explains why it's doing this mysterious thing. And he felt the same way about quantum mechanics, that we gave these set of rules, which are called the Copenhagen interpretation of quantum mechanics. One set of rules for when you're looking at it, one set of rules for when you're not. And Einstein was like, oh, come on. Clearly, this is not the final answer to the nature of reality, right? He wanted to know God's thoughts. He's like, I want to know everything. We're not done yet. There must be more going on. And so many worlds is one of the proposed answers to what could be going on. It's not the only one. There's alternatives, but it's definitely my favorite. It's definitely the easiest one to write down. Let's put it that way.
Okay, so hit us with this many worlds theory.
Okay, so think about this electron. You say that it could be either spin up or spin down. It's a combination of both. That's its wave function. You measure it, you only ever see spin up or spin down. So Copenhagen says that's because the wave function suddenly changed, snapped into place when you observed it. Don't ask me what it means to observe something. That's not what Copenhagen lets you ask.
Okay.
Many world says what you're missing is two things. Number one, you're a quantum system. You're obeying the rules of quantum mechanics. You're made of atoms and electrons and so forth. You have a wave function too, okay? So you're secretly treating yourself as a classical thing when you make that measurement, but you really should be treating yourself quantum mechanically, right? That's one thing. And the other thing is something that Einstein invented, namely called entanglement. When quantum mechanics says there's a wave function for a system, it doesn't say there's a separate wave function for every particle, right? It says that there's only one wave function for the whole universe. So the way I like to say it is, imagine two particles come in and bounce off of each other. Either one has a wave function and it's unpredictable exactly what angle it's going to go off at. So both of the particles that go off, you don't know where they're going. But because momentum is conserved, if they came in at equal velocities, they'll go out at equal velocities and in opposite directions. If you measure one, then you know where the other one is going, right? That's entanglement. The observed state of one system can be related to the observed state of another system. So those are the two ingredients. You're a quantum system, and quantum systems can be entangled with each other. So Hugh Everett, who was a graduate student when he invented this idea in the 1950s, said, look, when you measure that electron, what happens physically? Like, forget about you're a person, you're conscious, all of that BS. Like, you're a physical system, you obey the Schrödinger equation. You are a quantum mechanical system, you obey the laws of physics. So you look at the electron, your wave function changes. It used to be you're just a person doing whatever you do, but then after you look at the electron, you become entangled with it. And it splits. So there is one part of the wave function that says the electron was spinning clockwise and you measured it spinning clockwise. And there's another part of the wave function that says the electron was spinning counterclockwise and you saw it spinning counterclockwise. Now, everybody knows this. Like that far, it's not controversial at all. That's clearly the prediction of the equations of quantum mechanics. But everyone else said, well, that means that I'm some weird combination of I saw it spinning one way and I saw it spinning the other way, but I've never felt that way. When I look at real electrons, I see them one way or the other. That can't be right. That can't be the final answer. The wave function must somehow collapse. And Everett said, no, what you're missing is there's now two separate worlds. Both of those part of the wave function are real, but they're different worlds. They will never interact with each other again. What happens in one part of the wave function will not affect what happens in the other part. So now there's a version of you that saw the electron spinning clockwise, and there's another version of you that saw it spinning counterclockwise. And that's just taking seriously the prediction of quantum mechanics. It's not adding any extra stuff, any extra worlds, anything like that.
That is the part where my brain broke.
All right.
The idea that there's a you that observes it going clockwise and a you that observes it going in a different direction, like that is so hard to understand. Do you apply this in your regular life? Like, do you think, like when you go home and you say hi to your wife and you open up the refrigerator, do you think of yourself as this quantum being that's existing in this super state?
So, I mean, there's a couple of answers to that. One is, sure, if I think about it, like I really do believe it. I have a chapter in the book, which my editor resisted at first, but then he let me get away with it, which is a dialogue between a young philosopher and her father, who is a physicist. And the father is skeptical about all this philosophical nonsense, and she tries to explain how many worlds works to him. And at the end, his last question is, do you really believe this? Are you really taking this seriously? And look, that's a perfectly good question. It's a very respectable question because it is many worlds. It's not crazy or weird or bizarre, but it's certainly very, very far away from our everyday experience, right? So what it's asking you to do is to say, I have these equations. They are really, really good at fitting what I do observe in the world and making predictions. I can build the Large Hadron Collider, et cetera. I will take them seriously even for things that I can't directly observe, because they're the best equations I have, right? Until a better set of equations come along, I will believe these equations. And the implication of that is, there's a whole bunch of worlds, like a huge number, like a real, humongously, unimaginably big number, maybe an infinite number, maybe finite, we don't know, of different copies of you, and they're being created all the time. The good news is that it doesn't really affect how you go through your life. It doesn't really imply that you should behave any differently than you would if you just lived in one world.
But do you think of each choice that you make possibly changing everything about the world that you exist in? How are you looking at it? You know what I'm saying? Because you are a guy who probably understands it as good as anybody that's alive. So as weird as this stuff sounds, to me it sounds like it's almost impossible for me to comprehend. So I'm trying to filter it through your understanding of it.
Well, I think that...
He's taking his jacket off. We're getting serious.
I know. It's getting hot in here. Physics is heating us up. I'm not exactly sure how to say it the best. It doesn't change who you are. It's certainly not true that you making a decision is what branches the wave function of the universe. I guess that's the right thing to say.
Good, because I want to stop all woo.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Before it happens.
Everyone, believe me,
brakes.
The joke about how certain political choices imply that we're living in the wrong branch of the wave function has been made many, many times, right? But it's not that your choices create different universes. Different universes get created, and maybe you're different in them by a little bit. In fact, I like to point out there is an app you can download if you have an iPhone called Universe Splitter, which will branch the wave function of the universe for you. And then if you agree ahead of time to do one thing in one branch and another thing in another branch, then there will be multiple copies of you who are living different lives. And then you can deal with that in your therapist however you like. But
what is the application exactly doing?
What it's doing is basically a version of measuring the spin of...
It's called Universe Splitter?
Universe Splitter. It's only for iPhones.
I'm going to grab this right now.
But,
sorry, Android people.
Yeah, sorry. It's not even a web page. It's only an app. There's equivalent web pages. But.
Okay, I'm pulling it up right now.
Yeah, and what you can do, basically it sends a signal to a lab that coincidentally is located in Geneva, Switzerland, but has nothing to do with the Higgs boson or anything like that. They send a single photon down a pipe to what's called a beam splitter. So the wave function of the photon goes 50-50. It gets sent left. It gets sent right. And if you agree, and so then it sends back whether you ended up in the branch of the wave function where it went left or where it went. There you go. 199. Come on.
Yeah.
The
it's
power
$2.
of changing the universe is in your hands.
I downloaded it.
Good.
I got it. I paid for it. I got it right here.
Yeah.
All right.
So if you have any tough choices, you can type in, like, I want to have pizza or I want to have Chinese food for dinner tonight.
Well, it says in one universe I will take a chance, in the other one I will play it safe.
Yeah, but you can correct those. You can fill in whatever you want.
Really?
Yeah, that's the good part.
But what is happening with this
I will
app?
ask her to marry me. I will not ask her to marry me.
Is
right?
this
I
the
will accept this job. I will go somewhere else.
Equivalent of a quantum fortune cookie?
Yeah. But
Yes.
except that all possible fortunes are obtained in different universes. The bad news is you can't ever find out how things went in the other universe. You can't talk to the different universes.
That's the problem, right?
Yeah, that's
so
the problem,
people will be
right.
paralyzed by analysis.
That's why you should act the same as if you just lived in one universe, because you can never talk to the people in the other ones.
So, but now let's hit the brakes on the woo again.
Yeah.
Because people would like to believe that are there an infinite number of yous existing at the exact same time, making various choices which send you off in different directions?
So, number one, we don't know if it's infinite number or just really big, but there's certainly a really, really big number. It's big enough to be, big enough for whatever you want. But it's not everything. The theory does not say everything happens somewhere, right? The theory says the Schrodinger equation is obeyed. There's an equation that is obeyed. So electrons will never convert into protons because electrons are negatively charged and protons are positively charged. And nowhere in the Schrodinger equation can you violate the conservation of charge, right? So there's plenty of things that don't happen, but then there are plenty of things that do happen. And some things are more likely than others for you to experience. So again, it's sort of it's a mind-bendy thing, but it's a straightforward prediction of the equations, and it doesn't affect our lives. There's no rule that says, to be a moral person, to be a good utilitarian and make the world happy, knowing that the wave function is branching into multiple copies, I should act differently somehow. It's exactly the same as it would be in the ordinary world.
So, you are the ordinary world, no matter how many copies of you there are, or how many versions of you there are.
There's nothing. So when all these copies are being made, there's no essence of you that is traveling through one of the copies, right? Like all of these people are separate people. So I use the analogy, it's like identical twins. They were the same zygote or whatever, and now they're different people, okay? So that's the same thing. Like you're you now, and if you hit the button and branch the wave function, there'll be two different people, both of whom used to be you, but they're not the same person anymore because different things happen to them.
Now, when people think about the concept of quantum mechanics and the way you're talking about it, describing things in the micro and the macro, you think of your existence itself in a very similar manner, the way you think of electrons, the way you think of things being quantum, is that you are a combination of all these quantum things.
Yeah.
So you don't operate in some sort of static state that's very like here and now and carbon, and you can put it on a scale and it'll never change. There's constant versions of you.
Yeah, it's kind of like a whooshing where more and more versions of you are being created all the time. And it's an interesting thing because even the best trained physicists sort of think intuitively classically. Like, look, here's a table, there's a bottle, right?
You have to.
You have
Red
to.
light comes, hit the brakes.
And this is how we evolved, right?
Yes.
This is how our brains work, right? And like I said, many worlds is one respectable version of quantum mechanics. There are other respectable versions, more respectable than the textbook presentation. But they all the other ones somehow lean on our classical experience. And the textbook version certainly does. It says, like, you're a classical person observing a quantum mechanical system and so forth. And Everett, when he was a graduate student, he had arguments across the ocean with people in Copenhagen, who tried to push their way forward. And he's like, why do you get to be classical and the electron has to be quantum? Like, why aren't you quantum? Like, why isn't everything, what's so special about you, really?
Right.
And he was trying to think of the quantum mechanics of the whole universe, right? Where he's not a separate observer outside because he's doing the whole universe all at once. And so everything had to be quantum. And I think that's another thing that is pushing us to appreciate the foundations of quantum mechanics a little bit more, is that we're trying to understand quantum gravity. We're trying to understand quantum cosmology, the universe all at once, obeying the rules of quantum mechanics. And the conventional Copenhagen theory is just not up to it.
Well, this is why you're here. We're here to talk about that. And just I guess you should probably just explain what's going on.
Well, I guess I'll just kind of take you through the order of events here. That was my 10th fight, fighting for the Bellator title, and in all my other 9 fights previously, it was never required for me to get a brain scan done, just due to the different states that I was fighting in at the time. The commissions there didn't require it. In the U.S., it's California and New York, and then Europe, requires a brain scan. We were originally scheduled to fight in January at the Forum in California, the same event that just happened this past Saturday night. So we were going to fight 2019 at the Forum in January, and that fight got postponed. Mousasi was injured, and we eventually got rescheduled to fight in June in London. So I already had a brain scan scheduled for December to get approved for that fight in January. But I got the news about the fight getting canceled like the week of that scan, a couple days before. So I canceled it. I said, I don't need to go get that done now. And so fast forward, I basically stayed in camp the whole year, training, with that fight on my mind all the way from November when I started the first camp for the fight in January, into the new year, waiting for the new date. And it was March that I got the word that we were going to fight in June in London. And so, I was basically training all year, and I just picked right back up into camp. And fast forward on into the very beginning of May, I was, already a good month into like the serious camp. And I was just getting ready to fly to Brazil, Curitiba, to get into the hardest phase of camp. I was going to be there for 3 weeks, and I had to get my MRI done, and I wanted to get it done before I went to Brazil, just to check it off the list. So this was actually the week I had 2 good buddies of mine, Jake Mapes and Sam Alvey, were in Oklahoma training with me. And we had a great week of training. Everything's going really, really well. And it's Thursday. And so I go get my brain scan done to get that done before I went to Brazil. And I'm in there, and we get through the whole process, and the machine is done. It's not operating anymore. But they haven't called me out of the room yet. And I could kind of just sense something was going on. So finally they say, okay, come on out. And the radiologist, with really no candor or like an easy, soft way of saying it, was like, dude, have you seen your brain before? There's some stuff in here you need to see. And he, pulls me into the room and shows me on the screen. He's like pointing out these, look like little balls. Obviously it looked like something was wrong. It didn't look like a normal scan, but I don't know,
Balls
like shades of discoloration, like according to the scan itself. Like you could see that, it wasn't normal. And he didn't even know what it was at the time. And he was like, let me look this over tonight. And I had my paper, to get signed off that everything looks clear and normal. And, and he was just like, he asked me if I had any concussions and if I've had any issues. And I said, no. And he's like, well, this doesn't look right, and you shouldn't be doing what you're doing. I'm like, okay, so are you going to sign this paper? And he's like, no. And he's like, come back tomorrow, and I'm going to give you some more information. I say, okay. So I go back Friday, and he tells me that, he did some research, and he believes that I have a disease called cavernoma. And, he kind of hits me with that. I had no idea what cavernoma was. And, he says, look, I'm not signing this paper. You need to go see a specialist and get this looked at. But as far as I know, you should not fight. You should not be fighting. And then the next morning, I fly to Brazil for my camp, to go down there for the hard sparring and everything that I like to do, stuff we talked about last time. And so I'm like I'm in the airport, getting ready to go to Brazil for this portion of my camp, for this fight that is like the biggest fight of my life. I've already waited an extra 6 months for it. I've been training for it all year. And at this point, I'm like just in shock of what is going on, my health. And, so I'm like Googling everything that I can about cavernoma and trying to understand what it is. And basically, it's a disease where I probably got it from one of my parents. It's normally a hereditary disease. And your brain forms these extra blood vessels. And these blood vessels grow, and they can accumulate and sort of bundle up together into balls, almost like weeds or vines. They wrap up together, and these blood vessels are very prone to bleeding. Now they don't bleed so much in an instance where it could cause a hemorrhage. It's more like a slow, they use the term oozing effect. So it oozes blood out over time, very little by little. And as they accumulate, those balls are very, much more susceptible to bleeding. And, reading about it while I'm getting ready to go, I'm flying to Brazil. I'm in the airport. I'm taking off. There's so many extreme cases of this disease where people have to have multiple surgeries to get them removed, seizures, vision issues, people go into comas, and then of course, worst case is even death. And obviously Googling and, not talking to a specialist and just kind of doing my own thing is not the best way to get information. And so I just have all these thoughts running in my head about, what I'm dealing with in my health, and now I'm going to, Brazil to, train and spar, and I have this fight, and right now I don't have anyone signing off on this paper. Is this going to happen? What's going on? All these questions. And so I get there, and at this point, the only one that knows is my girl, and I'm confiding in her, and I'm just talking to her, and she's shocked. I've never had any issues. I don't even really get headaches. I've never been knocked out. There's never been a time in my life where I thought, man, I should get my head looked at. I think something could be wrong. And so talking with her, and then I have my coach, Mauricio. He's my head MMA coach and my Muay Thai teacher. And he goes with me down to Curitiba, and we train there at his brother's academy, Andre Dida, at Dida's academy, Evolução Thai. And, we fly Saturday, arrive Sunday, start training Monday, and I'm just I'm trying to train this first day, and I'm just what am I doing? And I'm getting hit in the head, and I'm like, man, am I slowly killing myself right here? What am I training for at this point? I'm not approved. What am I going to do? You know? And so we talk it over, and we're like, okay, obviously we need to get more opinions, and I'm down in Brazil for 3 weeks, basically all of May. The fight was June 21st, or 23rd, something like that. And so I'm spending all of May there. So I need to see some Brazilian doctors, some doctors down here in Curitiba. And so we just begin the process. Let's get a prescription.
Do you speak Portuguese?
I'm not 100% fluent, but I can get around. I can do pretty well on my own down there, just from all the trips that I've done over the years. So thankfully, Mauricio, his brother Dita, they have so many connections down there, being who they are and the history that they have, teaching martial arts. You get to know everybody, right? And so they were able to make things happen quick for me. We saw a doctor, got a prescription for another MRI, get scheduled to get that MRI done, which happens on Friday, the end of my first week there. So I'm going that whole week, training, trying to stay positive. But I'm wondering, what am I doing? What's going on? You know what I mean? Like, I can't begin to describe the thoughts and emotions.
I can't imagine that. I mean, it'd be so distracting during sparring as well.
Oh, yes. And, they go harder down there.
To put it mildly.
Yeah.
That place is known for like some of the most ruthless killers to ever come out of Brazil.
100%.
I mean,
100%.
That's shoot the box.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not sleeping well. I'm emotional wreck, basically. I'm calling my girl over FaceTime, multiple times a day. We're looking at each other on the screen. I'm crying. I'm confiding in Mauricio, and Shanji Ribeiro was also there with me. I had an Airbnb with Shanji. So thankfully I wasn't on my own 24/7 outside of the academy. Mauricio always stays with his family. And, I'm just like, man, when Shanji arrived that Monday or Tuesday and I tell him what's going on, I'm just like, dude, I'm a mess right now. Like, I don't know, I'm just so uncertain of my health and what's going on. I just can't put it into words,
right.
But I'm trying to stay positive. And we get through that first week, get the MRI, the new MRI down there in Brazil. So then we have, the Brazilian MRI to take to Brazilian doctors. And so then the second week, we start seeing neurologists and, specialists to get their opinion and see what they have to say. And that was the hardest week ever because multiple doctors were all saying no. When you look at the scan right off the bat, it just like it doesn't look good.
Do you have a picture of it?
Man, actually, I don't have one with me right now. But you just see these gray, like, little shades of circles. Like,
a lot of them?
Well, I have multiple, and most of them are very small, like popcorn size. And, those aren't that dangerous, at least yet. But there is one accumulation on the back side of the right side of my head, back here. And that has built up, and it looks big.
Like how big?
Probably like somewhere between a baseball size, like golf ball to baseball, in between there.
Jesus.
It's pretty big, but it's on the very outer rim, so it's not like in the middle of my brain. It's on the outside, so if you were to go right through my head, it could be right there. You could essentially pull it out without having to go through too much stuff.
Is that something that might actually have to happen?
No, not now. Not now. I'll fast forward, to the doctors I end up seeing here in the States who clarify a lot of this, but
but the doctors in Brazil all say the same thing.
Well, they're kind of just, fighting already isn't good for your brain. You know what I mean? Getting hit in the head isn't good for your brain. And I think just looking at it when you see it, and then that I'm going to get hit in the head, and what I do, you're automatically going to be like, hey, there's already this extra bit of of danger that we're putting in to a dangerous situation. Let's not roll the dice, let's not play that game. And so we were getting multiple doctors saying no, and even one was like, they said that jiu-jitsu could be dangerous, that me getting my blood cut off like in a choke, cutting off the circulation to my brain, that could be dangerous. And so this week, I am literally not sleeping at all. I am crying multiple times a day. And I'm just like, man, what am I doing? I'm going into the sparring, and I'm training, and I'm not going to get approved. I'm not going to fight, and this has already been like a 6-7 month training camp at this point, and it's for the belt. It's my life's work. It's everything for me, So I was just crushed day in, day out, trying to get through. And on Thursday of that week, I'm doing MMA sparring, and I kind of had it coming. I shouldn't have been going as hard as what I've been going, but I was like trying to stay positive and stay ready. Like, what if I need to be ready for this fight? It's Musasi. Like, I got to be at my best. And in reality, I was just training like garbage. I was having my worst training camp, my worst fight camp, because of everything. And on this day, I'm in my third round of MMA sparring, and I strain my hamstring bad. I go for like a double leg, and the guy has a judo background. He overhook, like wizards me, and goes for like a Uchimata Haraigoshi type of throw. I'm wearing wrestling shoes. I try to drop my hips, so he doesn't elevate me. And my knees go straight, and my foot gets stuck in the floor with the wrestling shoe. And my hamstring just snapped, pop, like a loud, like pop, pop, pop. And I just scream, and I let it go, and I get thrown down, and I'm just like, ah. And he knew something was wrong. We stopped right there, and my leg is just throbbing. And I tried to get up. I couldn't get up. So I had to like walk on my hands, scoot off the mat. I got carried out of the academy that day. I could not walk. And I'm sitting down on the edge of the mat, and I'm just like, I burst into tears. And I look up to Mauricio, and I'm like, man, it's not going to happen. Like, there's no way, all this is going on. I'm not approved. I'm training horrible. I can't walk now, And so, that was the end of week 2. All no's. We have one more doctor to see, who's like the professor of many of the doctors that I already saw. He's very highly regarded, one of the best doctors in the south of Brazil, neurospecialist, neurosurgeon. We were so lucky to get in to see him, and because he's booked up. But we managed an appointment time for Monday of the third week, Monday night. So, I'm basically given up. I can't walk. I'm at home that whole weekend, and Shanji, he had seminars on the weekend. He came down there to support me in camp, but on the weekends he was going off to teach seminars in different areas of Brazil. And so I'm laid up in this Airbnb all weekend, and I'm like just FaceTiming my girl, and I'm like, baby, like, I don't think this is happening. I can't believe I've come this far, to the title shot, this much training, for the camp, like going from November of 2018 into the end of May of 2019. That was it. It was just this fight with Musasi. And it took everything for me. Like, this sounds funny, but the house, the Airbnb, the host, she's like a great host. She left so many chocolates and all this food in the house, like sweets. And I just wanted to pig out and eat all these chocolates. I kept telling Shanji, bro, you got to eat these things. Like, I can't look at these. I'm such an emotional wreck right now, and I'm in the spot all weekend by myself, and I'm ready to give up. I'm like, I'm gonna go eat churrascaria, you know what I mean, and eat all these chocolates and just like, because I have to diet very strict to make 185.
What do you walk around at?
Around 210 to 215 is my normal weight.
Big cut.
So I mean that weight is kind of normal. Like most guys at 185 are around 210. But I'm already tall. I'm already naturally pretty lean, so I have to be very strict on my diet to get that low. And it took everything for me to not just pig out and just like totally give in. But Mauricio was just like, hey, we have one more doctor. The whole weekend, all I did was just put CBD cream on my leg, Resilient CBD. Shout out to them, they're my sponsor. And I was using the Mark Pro on my leg.
What's a Mark Pro?
It's like similar to like a TENS unit, but it has different frequencies and you can go really deep in there. And so I'm just like, okay, let me just try to recover this thing as much as I can. I couldn't train, couldn't do anything. I was basically stuck at home. And that's all I did. And I just said, okay, Monday night, that's it. If he says no, it's done. And at this point, I hadn't told anything to I let my manager, Ed, know, but we hadn't said anything to anybody else. Literally, the only ones that knew were my girl, Shanji Mauricio, and Ed. And so we go see this doctor Monday night. And, man, right off the bat, he kind of captivated us because he was the first one to be just chill and just like, okay, what's going on? What brings you here? Didn't look at any pictures, didn't rush it. And I tell him, I got my scans. It looks like I have cavernoma, da-da-da-da. He said, okay, let me see your scans. And he's like, yeah, this is cavernoma for sure. How do you feel? The first one to ask me, how do you feel? And I said, well, this is all a huge shock. I've never had any problems. I feel great. I'm fine. I don't even get headaches. And he's like, okay. He talks with me and he's like, let's go do an evaluation. We do an evaluation and do some tests. Everything's normal, like just simple, like, stand on one leg and all that kind of stuff. And everything's fine. And so we go back to the office, we sit down. He's like, let me just see what I can find. But I guarantee I'm not going to find anything that says head impact or trauma is going to increase the risk of your cavernoma bleeding. And so he starts looking up, journals and studies, all the things that doctors have access to. And he literally finds nothing. There is no studies that say that getting hit in your head is going to make your cavernoma worse or cause you to bleed and something's going to happen. And he's like, look, you can bleed, you can be oozing blood at any point in time, little by little. And it could become an issue at some point in time. But there is no treatment. We're not going to do surgery. Like, there's nothing that's going to happen until you have symptoms, until you show signs. And because I can't find any studies that say getting hit in the head is going to make it worse, and because you are, a normal, like, healthy, functioning person at this point, I think it's fine for you to fight. You should continue doing what you do until it becomes a problem. And if it does become a problem, we'll go in there and we'll take it out, the big mass. And then we'll move forward. And so I'm just like, I start getting emotional already, and I'm kind of like, wow, so you'll write a letter saying this? You'll support me? And he's like, yeah, sure, no problem. Super calm guy. And he was the oldest doctor we had spoken to as well, most experienced. And so we get this letter, man. We walk out of that office, me and Mauricio, and as soon as we leave the door and we get to the elevator, man, I just like burst into tears. I can't believe that there's some hope. Like this can still happen. And me and Mauricio embrace and we both cry. Like, oh my God, we got the letter. So I send the letter to Ed, and we begin the process of trying to get approved. We get everything into Bellator, let them know they got the scans. They send it over to the Europe Commission. They use an organization called Safe MMA. And, we kind of like, we're happy, we're positive, but at the same time, I'm still not approved. It's still not on, But the letter is like, that was the missing piece. That was what we needed to be able to move forward. So I finished that last week, unable to really move. I can't wrestle. I can't kick. And my last week in Brazil, I'm literally just hitting mids like this. And I'm like, okay, trying to stay positive. I still have like a month. Let's get this healed. Let's just keep sweating.
Did you get an MRI on the hamstring?
No, I didn't get an MRI on the hamstring. It didn't have any discoloration, so it wasn't a tear. It was like a severe strain.
But with the popping?
It didn't turn black and blue, and so without that discoloration, I almost didn't even want to know. I was just like,
right.
Like.
When did it start feeling better?
It didn't really. I actually still feel it now. It was a situation the whole way. But I could stand. So I could stand, and all I'm doing is boxing now at this point because I can't throw kicks and I can't change levels to do takedowns. And so that was a whole nother thing because, as I'm waiting to hear back on if I'm going to get approved, I'm only punching mitts. Like I might as well be doing like a cardio kickboxing class, without kicks. And that was the last thing that I want to do with Masasi is just go in there and box,
Right.
That's not what I do. Right. So the hardships and frustrations were just continued, as I'm dealing with my hamstring, but at least we had some hope. So I finished that week, fly home. And now I'm finishing like my last couple weeks of camp at home in Oklahoma. Shanji comes to Oklahoma, Mauricio's there, and I'm trying to put together some great training. One of my best training partners from Curitiba, his name's Cristiano. He came to Oklahoma as well. And, everyone's aware of the situation as far as my coaches, my team. I did not tell my parents. I didn't want anyone to know. I didn't want it to get out. And so I was just dealing with it with them, And so we send everything in, and we're waiting. We're waiting. This guy, his name's Yanni. He's on the commission with Safe MMA. He reaches out to me like after the first week, and he said, "Hey, we need to talk." And so I give him a call. And he's like, we got the letter. We're looking at your scans. We've actually created a panel of doctors to talk about this. And at this point, it's 50-50. I just want you to know. We're unsure if we're going to approve. And I just want you to hear, I just wanted to touch base with you, wanted you to hear from me. We see everything, but you have to understand we're still not sure, so bear with us. I'm like, okay. Try to get through the next week. I had some decent days with my hamstring where I could shoot a little bit and work some takedowns, but if I had a good day, the next day I had to take it real light because it was so tight, so tender.
Did you get it massaged at all?
Oh yeah, I was doing everything possible. I mean, getting it worked on, doing hot cold, like, I'm pretty like anything out there that is for recovery, I have probably at my house, I'm big on really taking care of my body. So I was just trying to be as smart as I could and just get through it. And we come to this point now where the fight is 2 weeks away, and I don't know if it's on or not. And I'm just trying to put together as good of training as I can, stay as positive as I can, but at the same time, I'm just like, man, I need the yes. I need to be able to focus.
How are you staying conditioned when you barely can use your leg?
Man, it was really hard. I was heavier. I was walking around heavier than what I normally would for my fights. By this time, I'm normally below 205, in the 200 to 205 range. That's where I like to get to, just off pure diet and off training. And I was still 210 to 212. It was hard. Like I couldn't. I could box, and I could box hard, and I could spar boxing, but without wrestling, I didn't feel like I was conditioned the way I wanted to be. I couldn't sprint. I could ride the bike. The bike didn't put too much pressure, but I couldn't go all out the way I would like to.
Like an Airdyne?
Yeah. Airdyne. Everything was not the way it would normally be done. Now, you're never 100%. You're always dealing with something. I've had a broken nose before, cuts, rib things. Like there's always something. But it was the stress of both and the uncertainty on if we would get to fight at all.
Yeah.
That was really hard, and for sure that's why I got hurt. That's 100% why I got hurt. But anyways, finally, on like the last day that they could give me the answer, they gave me the answer, and I got the email, and it said, "We've approved you. You are approved to fight." 2 weeks before the fight.
Wow.
I held off on, I'm flying my family there. You know what I mean? I have all my there's the corner coaches, but I have a couple other coaches that I was, going to fly out there, and I was waiting to purchase these tickets, and and I had some other guys like, "Hey, where are you staying? What's going on?" Like, I'm ready, and I'm like, "Hey, don't book anything just yet. Don't book any, because I don't want them to buy tickets to London, and I'm not fighting." And I'm trying to like be cool and not give anyone too much an idea of what's going on, and stay positive, stay confident, and everything. Finally, we got the green light, and I'm literally flying a few days later to London. We left on Tuesday and arrived there Wednesday. I got there like 10 days before, so I have 1 weekend before the weekend of the fight. At this point, it was like, okay, once we got that yes, we celebrated. It was like, that's all I wanted. I had already fought so hard just to be able to get to this fight.